So here we are, YouTube. It's the Lofty bike here. Second test of the day. We're taking out the 2021 Honda NC750S. This model comes with the DCT gearbox. Right, let's get the handbrake off. Pull and release. Select drive. And away we go. Considering the low seat height, this does feel pretty damn comfy. It's not very often I take a bike out with a sub 800mm seat height and find it comfy, but to be fair, this ain't bad. For those of you who've probably watched my review of the 1100 Rebel, the switch gear is more or less identical on here. We've got the horn, the indicator, the flappy paddle down on the front, the flappy paddle up on the back, hazard warnings, high and low beam, the mode button with a selector on it. No cruise control. Honda are marketing this as the ultimate commuter machine. They might well be right. I'm going to just pop up to the garage and put a spot of petrol in, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, good morning YouTube. I've just put some petrol in. I'm taking out the 2021 NC750 S model. The S is the one that's more like a road bike. The X is the one with a bit of a beak, more off-road looking. So we're in standard mode. Dash is quite easy to read, I don't know whether you can see it. Similar sort of layout to most of the Hondas now. We've got a big speedo in the middle, a tacho that goes across the top with a clock above it and a fuel gauge. We've got the gear indicator on the left, then we've got the modes at the bottom. It's clocks, range, petrol. Over on the right hand side we've got the DCT, all the four elements of the DCT and the amount of miles. This bike hasn't done many miles, 145 miles. Like I said, there's no cruise on this, which I'm quite surprised about really. I thought they put cruises on everything now. I suppose it's all to do with price. This isn't an expensive bike. And I must say, I do find it quite roomy. It's got a little bikini fairing type of fare on the front. Mirrors are different to any other Honda I've ridden. They've got these sort of, I don't know what shape you'd call them, parallelogram shape or something, but they seem fairly effective. Got a reasonable view in front and behind. I'm going to take it down the fast road and see what it's like in the modes, and then a few twisties. You can see, although the paintwork's very nice, it's got this lovely blue colour with a bit of a flake in it. This is a budget bike. Like I said earlier, it is to appeal to the commuter who wants to go out and ride one to work and back every day with minimal fuss and minimum effort, of course, with the DCT box. We've got the 6-speed box in this, like most of them. Lovely car, the Passat CC, but I don't think he knows where he's going. Probably like me, he might be on a test drive. So I'm just going to knock it into sport, if I can. Oh, wrong one. What you have to do is you have to line up with the mode button, the one you want, and then use your up and down on the selector. So we're in sport mode. We're in a national. I'm in third gear doing 35, let's see what it does. Okay, as you'd expect, it's the 750 engine. It's not got the grunt of the 11, but to be fair, considering it's supposed to be a low revving, extremely economical bike, it's fairly peppy. We're cruising along here at 60 mile an hour, just over, in 5th gear in sport mode. I'll just slow down, drop it down, comes down on its own, 3rd gear, 2nd gear. So we'll use the selector button. We'll have a look at rain mode. So 3rd gear at 30 mile an hour. Yeah, that's very sedate. So you'd have no trouble spinning the rear wheel up in that. So we'll put it in standard mode. Knock it down a couple. 30 mile an hour. There we go, standard. Yeah, that's more than adequate. These aren't sports bikes. It's never been designed as a sports bike. It is a 750 parallel twin, which uses car technology. It's a long stroke style engine rather than a short stroke rever. But like I say, it seems to just cruise along nicely in standard at 60. I'm not getting much noise or wind blast. The screen's doing a fairly effective job. Right, we'll take a right at the island. It's gone down to 3rd on its own. I personally would have been in 2nd, so I've flappy paddled it down. So let's have a look. I'll just ease off a little bit. You can tell this one's been ridden more than the previous bike I was out on. The brakes are bedded in that little bit better. Tight little corner, knock it down one. A little bit of brake. Yeah, the handling's pretty good. It's very smooth off and off throttle. One thing about Hondas, when they perfected the fuel injection, if you like, it's very rare that you ride a Honda with a snappy or a snatchy throttle. They're always very smooth on and off the throttle. I'm just going to knock this into sport mode again while I'm having a bit of fun. So we'll come barreling into the bend here. It's 59, 60. Brakes on, let the engine do its work. It's dropped us into 2nd. Now that's perfect. And again, now I ain't touched that DCT at all. That is superb. Same again. Yeah, this one's set up perfect. It seems to know how I want to ride. On and off the throttle. Let's put the brakes on for the 30. How about that? That's when you're on the B roads or the A roads and you want to mosey about. Sport mode's perfect. But as soon as you drop into a 30, just knock it into standard and it just relaxes the gearbox. Nice steady 30 mile an hour up here. Although we're in 4th gear, but it doesn't really matter, does it, if you're in 4th gear quick? We've all got this preconceived impression of riding bikes that you rev the gears out. But on the DCT, it does it all for you. It sort of like picks everything for you. And I find it, well, I do like it, as you probably know. I always give this a second look because it's such a nasty junction. Yeah, in standard mode, it's so smooth up to 30. Like I say, it's a shame it's not got the cruise. Sometimes when you're in these 30 zones, you just flick the cruise on and just relax, and you can keep your eyes peeled and look at everything around you. So we've come out the 30, we're in the open, so I'm going to just knock it into sport and have a bit of fun. And make your mind up, mate. So there we are, ticking over at 60 on the Quintrell Downs Road to Newquay. In the very far distance you can see the sea and Newquay. Catching a bit of traffic up. Nice easy overtake coming up. Nothing around. More far as you can see. There you go. I'll tell you what this bike could be good for. This would make the absolute perfect observing bike for the IAM. Comfortable, gets up to the national speed limits. Handles absolutely sublime. And with the automatic box, you ain't got to think about gear changes or nothing. You can watch your associate or whatever. Let's take my time through this junction. There we go. The suspension's very, very compliant. Right, let's have a look. There's nobody about. I'll just drop it down into third gear, slow down a touch. Just have a squeeze of these brakes. Third gear, 40. First front brake. Plenty powerful enough, that is. Okay, so same again. Third gear at 40, nobody about. Back brake. Very average. I'll just put it back in standard mode again. Yeah, the back brake. I don't know what it is with some bikes. Back brakes aren't a lot of bottle. And these days with the ABS you should be able to just stamp on it and let it do its work. I could feel that slightly skidding. It was jittering about a little bit. It was going into a slight skid, which on a dry day like this you don't really want that. I should imagine if it was wet it would probably bring it on and off or pulse a little bit more. The one thing you do notice in the cockpit on this bike, and I'll say it again, the NC750S, nice wide tall handlebars. You wouldn't need to put bar risers or anything on this. Very, very comfortable indeed. It's funny how modern days, just drop it into a 40, modern day bikes have just gone ridiculous. They've gone so power crazy. When you start talking 150, 160, 170 brake horsepower for road bikes, I think it's absolutely mental. I've always been a believer in having a bike you can thrash, and it's nice to be able to reach the limits or get close to the limits and experience a bike. This is a sort of bike where a novice, an early intermediate who's recently passed the test, or even an advanced rider, or even someone coming back to biking after the break, you would be able to get on this, have a barrel of fun, thrash it till death, and not have to worry about getting yourself all mixed up and tied up in knots. As I said, just you don't really notice the long stroke engine that much unless you're out of its torque range. But I would say, unlike a lot of Hondas, this is not a boring bike. It's got a little bit of character, to be fair. A little bit of feel. The engine's got a bit of vibe about it. Yeah, it's a good bike. We'll just take a right on the island. Back up towards Indian Queens. In towns, islands, that's where this place, but this bike just needs to be. I would imagine you could commute happily. If you wanted to go on a tour, I don't know about taking a pillion, because the 750 you might not quite have enough guts. But you on your own, you could put some panniers on the back of this and a top box. I could go around the world on this. Absolutely no problem, and keep up with everyone. I wouldn't have any qualms whatsoever to go and touring on this bike. Here we go, Nationals. That's where you feel it. When you're only doing 3,000 revs and you're in 5th and 6th, it's just a little bit lumpy. So sometimes if you just give the flappy paddle a bit of a prod, knock it 1. We're all clear. I'm going to knock it 2 and I'm gone. More than enough guts, more than enough juice. I don't actually know anyone who's got one of these yet. They're not what you'd call sexy, are they? Automatic Hondas. But to be honest, when you're sitting on a bike, do you really care? If I was out with the lads now, and the lasses, having a bit of a hoon, I wouldn't care what it looked like. Here we go. Just dropping a cog. So just to put things in perspective, I've just been out on the 1100 Rebel, the CMX 1100. I found that for my height extremely uncomfortable. Now this, the 750, same sort of gearbox, smaller engine, I find extremely comfortable. Now for all you boys who are sort of like 5'7", 5'8" to 6'4", 6'5", you can get straight onto this Honda and ride it no trouble at all and feel comfortable. The leg room is lovely, the seating position is lovely, very, very nice bike, and it's a lovely blue. Back in the day they used to say it's 100 brakes all you need. Some of these modern bikes, like this one, it's about 60 odd brake I think. When I do the walk around I'll tell you. But it's got ample power for riding on our roads. Ample. So we're just approaching the dual carriageway. Mark says it's a sort of bike, if you do ride steady and commute on, you can get around the 80 mile per gallon. 80 mile per gallon. 14 litre tank. What's that, about 3 gallon? You're comfortable, absolutely comfortable to do 200 mile plus without refueling. That's good. Very good. Funny, back in the day the wife had a Honda, she had a CBF 1000. Lovely bike, quite pokey, comfortable, but I always thought it was bland. It had absolutely no soul, no character. But these parallel twins, a little bit of vibe, a bit of life. I find this more fun than I ever did on her CB 1000. Amazing, isn't it? Anyway, when we get to the island on the dual carriageway, I'll drop it in sport mode and we'll do a bit of a slow standing start and see what it's like picking up the hill. So there we go, dropped it. So easy to drop into the modes, they are so intuitive. Right, here we are. Just let some of the traffic get out of the way. It's a funny island this, they never know which lane to get in for straight on. I always find the inside lane is probably the best. but they do tend to go around in the outside, then cut in on you. So I'm in sport. I'll just drop it into second, 30 mile an hour. Let's see what it does. Okay, so that's where you do notice the loss of power. On your 100, 120 plus brake horsepower bikes, you're hitting 80 mile an hour in literally a second or two. This, you can just feel it's just gently getting there, but it's fast enough for fun. Okay, so we'll go around the island and we'll do a walk round. Fair bit of traffic about. Nice and peppy off the mark in sport. No ground clearance issues whatsoever. I'll just turn right here and we'll have a walk round. See you in a minute. Good morning YouTube, the Lofty Bike here. What a lucky boy I am. 2 road tests in one day, thank you Damerells. So we took out the 1100 Rebel before, now we've got a 750. This is the NC750x DCT. Let's flip the camera around and have a look at it. There she is. What a lovely blue. That blue really pops, doesn't it? Let's just raise it up a touch. There we go. Bit of a surprise really. This is a bike I've never ridden. I've not ridden the earlier one, I know. I remember Charlie Perry, one of the IM examiners back in the day, having one of these and said what a good bike it was. He had the old one, whether it was the 650 or the 700, I can't remember. But he said, very underestimated, don't knock it. And to be honest with you, now I've ridden it, I'm amazed how comfortable it actually is. So let's just have a closer look. Nice big wide bars. There's the fuel tank, although it's not a fuel tank, I'll show you in a moment. It is actually a storage compartment. LEDs, very smart. Chain drive, single disc on the back. Look at that engine. That is canted over, that is. What sort of angle is that? It's like a K1600, isn't it? All the way over. Single brake on the front. Okay, so let's get the specs and have a talk about it. Right, where exactly we got? Honda NC750S in DCT format. 745cc parallel twin, 54 brake horsepower at 6,250. Maximum power 68 Newton meters at 47.5. It's got a 14.1 litre tank with an estimated 80 mile per gallon. Fantastic. The 6-speed DCT, electric start, chain drive. It's got standard 17-inch hoops front and back. You can put pretty much whatever tyres you want on it, easy to get hold of. 211 kilogram wet. It's somewhere where I think Hondas do falter a little bit. They can be quite heavy. Now, for me, if this bike was about 180, 185, it would be an absolute mind blower. 211, it's a bit chunky. There's a large cubbyhole at the front, fuel tank at the rear underneath the pillion seat. 790mm high seat for the UK and European. I believe the Japanese model for some reason comes in about 15mm lower. Let's have a look under the seat and the tank then. So you take the key out the ignition, you place it in here, you turn it to the right, that opens the cubby. Let's see if we can get a better picture. There's the cubby. That is a big cubby hole. Comfortably get an helmet in. Bit of a toolkit in there as well. Push it down. Now you turn the key the other way and the back flips up. There you go. It's one of those car bonnet type latches. Feel in here, so you just have to release it off to ease it out, and then down it comes. Easy peasy. Got some good grab handles on there for the pillion. Foot pegs are nice and low, not too bad at all. in general, not a bad looking bike, is it? What do you think? Well, I'm pretty impressed actually. I do like the blue. I think you can get a red, I'm not sure, but if it's a similar sort of blue as that, when I say that I mean it's that metallic blue with a little bit of candy in. Not bad. Tubeless rims, water cooled. Right, let's get the helmet on, get the brakes tested, give it a bit of a spin up the twisters and get it back. See you in a minute. Okay YouTube, so the handbrake's very similar to the one we was just on. It's just this lever, pull it up, pull the lever up here, put it on start, select drive, we're in standard mode, so you just take the pressure off the lever, push the button, release, easy peasy. Quick look round, nobody about. So I'm just going to have a quick razz down this twisty to feel the handling, and then we'll take it back. Island's all clear. Here we go. So we're in standard mode. We're up to national speed limit. It's a downhill. Past the junction. Yeah, it holds a good line. Well, you'd expect it to with 17-inch rims. Yeah, you can't fault this, can you? Just drop it back into a 50. We'll do a U-turn test in a moment. One thing I've just noticed is on the dash here in the top right hand corner there's a light. I think it's a shift light for economy. When it shines green, it's your most economical. Then blue, you're not quite so economical, and red, you're being a bit naughty. It's all geared around this go to work, ever so economical type bike. The word I would use for this bike, I know it can be, it's not derogatory, seriously, I'd call it a utility bike. It's one of those bikes, let's just do a U-turn, it's one of those bikes that just does everything. Absolutely everything. The only problem is, so we just do a U-turn, feather the back brake, full lock, absolutely, now that is easy. That's probably one of the easiest bikes you will ever find to do a U-turn. So back to my categorisation. Utility. The bike that does it all. The only thing you couldn't do is you wouldn't want to go on a track day, but I don't want to go on a track day anyway. But if you want to ride B lanes like this, A and B roads like this, riding round at the national speed limit between 45 and say 70 at a push, I wouldn't look no further. You can do anything on this bike. I would say it's a bit of a shock, not what I expected. I'm going to take it back to Damerells now and get it marked back. So, if you've enjoyed the video, press the subscribe button, press the like button, leave me a comment, tell me what you think, ask me a question. But for now, this is the Lofty Biker saying ta-ra for now. Ta-ra.